What's up, everybody? It's Lids, and we're back for some more Mardek, and today we are going to check out what the heck is through this portal that we just found in the Soul Grove. Now remember, we unlocked this portal by using all of our dream stones and then talking to the creepy tree here, and you may have been asking yourself, Lids, sure, those dream stones, they give us some additional context, some additional lore, if you will, but why do I really care? And the reason is because you need all of them to get through here. Now before we do that, I want to make sure that we swap our party around a little bit. I think one of the people who we have perhaps seen the least at this point in the game may be Meridor, despite him being one of the highest level characters. I think that's largely because I've leveled him in between episodes here. So let's swap Zach out for Meridor. And I think we also want to make a point of making sure that we are using some reasonable items. So Meridor, for instance, right now has next to nothing, and we were using the potion spray when Meridor was a part of our arena team. But I'm thinking on this occasion we're probably going to go for a little bit more of an offensive setup here, rather than a support setup with the potion spray. So maybe something like Flamethrower tends to be my preferred option if we're trying to maximize Meridor's damage. So why don't we go that route there? And then I think also on Donovan, Charlotte, and even Mardek to a certain extent, we threw on whichever items we happen to have on hand, but that wasn't necessarily because they were the best items that we actually had. So let's double check as to what we might throw on instead. Donovan, the inventing code is okay, but it's not amazing. So could we say swipe something else from someone? And on this occasion, I think we might actually want to consider using the Astral Wanderer's Garb. It has 6 defense and 6 magic defense, which is okay, it's not amazing. But it also gives us 20% resistance to Ether, which, well, what with us being in the Dream Realm right now, could perhaps be relevant. Let's throw that on Donovan. And then any other options like the Scarab of Health probably would not be a bad idea to have that on somebody. As for who we'd like that to be, possibly Charlotte with almost exactly 1000 HP. I think that might be the lowest of anyone we have in our party right now. Let's go that route. Anything else we want to make sure that we throw on, like say some bangles are typically one of our stronger miscellaneous items. So Charlotte's probably all set on that front. We do have one for Donovan. He's probably okay as well. Meridor, though, we might want to give you something other than the Boots of Celerity. Sure, they make you extremely quick with plus 10 agility, but we might want to instead focus on maybe using your charm and/or throwing on one of those other bangles. So let's swipe one of those from Legion. Let's go with maybe the Spirit Bangle. Boost Meridor's spell power. Of course, we could boost his HP, but with him being fairly high level, he does already have 1,700. So, looking okay over there, and he has no chestplate at the moment. We probably do want to make a point throwing something on there, right? As for what we'd like to have, we could potentially see if we have another Astral Wanderer's Garb flying around. Otherwise, we probably do have some other chestplates that we've yet to use that are quite potent, like the Night Jacket. That's probably the front runner here. If we don't have anyone using that in our current party, then we should make that a thing. Okay. Then Mardek, I think you had a miscellaneous item that we have empty right now, so we could consider throwing on a bangle for you as well. Wow, 446 MP. I think that is largely coming from the plus 100 MP from the Champion Sword, and also his higher level. Oh, and the Mithril Plate Mail does give plus 80 as well. Okay, so between these two, it's almost doubling your MP. Impressive, Mardek. Impressive. But yes, I think we probably do want to say, in that case, boost your life just a little bit more. You do have a lot, yes, but plenty of MP, so maybe Spirit is not terribly important to you, and Spirit, you don't have any spells that deal damage, so it's mostly just affecting the effectiveness of your healing abilities. Will probably be okay, as is, so with that in mind, let's save up here. And then we shall head in. And what will we find? Well, the answer is the Dreamshrine. One of the last areas for us to go, and, well, okay, first round of enemies here. What will we find here? Some dreamfish. So we saw several of these in people's arena run, seemingly in almost every single person's individual arena run, and we had not seen them outside of those places just yet, and that is because this is the only place where you can find them. They are a different iteration of the Carpioneros that we found in the Fig Realm, but these ones, well, they're a little bit tougher. They also are extremely evasive and quite quick, so they went first here. They certainly also have the chance of putting people to sleep, as we just saw for Meridor here. But Charlotte goes next, and she, of course, tends to deal air damage, and that could be a bit of an issue here because they are 80% resistant to it. So we could try using some Thunderbolts here, but I'm not sure that it's going to be terribly effective. Give it a shot. But we can stun them, and that does help, and that is, remember, the new magic offensive reaction that Charlotte learned from using her arena reward item. So paying off there. And then Donovan could do something similar with a Blaze, maybe collectively across the two of you, and get the job done. That looks like that could be the case. Because remember, even though they did have evasion, evasion does not affect spells. So there we go. And perhaps, for that reason, we should take a hint here and see if we could turn on Insomnia. For some people, Clarity, don't know if anyone's going to cause confusion, but that's another status that can cause a lot of problems, so I'd rather not get rid of it. But let's go for Insomnia for now, because we know that we will have some enemies that can put us to sleep. And the big problem is just when everyone goes to sleep, so we could probably get by with just having 1 or 2 people with Insomnia on. Veridor, I would rather not take off any of your resistances that we saw there. But Purity, we can probably pass on that and throw on Insomnia instead on Donovan. And then Charla, we got Vitality, which is probably not a huge priority here. Is there anything else we would consider getting rid of? Doesn't really seem like it, so I think you're staying as is. Okay, so we do have a few people, though, who are resistant to sleep. So, okay. This is another one of the optional areas, much like the Miasmal Citadel, in that it is a difficult endgame content area. And before we get the chance to look at what that item was there, more Dreamfish. They will continue to try to put us to sleep here, and, well, you're targeting the people who do not have resistance to it. Mardek does, so that's good. And as you can see here, at least thus far, we've fought entirely Ether Elemental enemies, and so that is one of the reasons why I wanted to see if we could boost up our Ether resistances a little bit more with things like the Astral Wanderer's Garb that we put on Donovan here. Might even be worth swapping around some of the passives that we were looking at previously, and making sure that people who do have Resist Ether mastered have it equipped. But I think we saw that our previous strategy, combination of Thunderbolts, and Donovan following up with some damage here on the Blaze, should still work. Should be consistent, because, like we were saying, they can't evade spells, so as long as we don't get the low end of the damage rolls on both Charlotte and Donovan spells, we should be fine there. What do we find here? Ether Essence, which is fitting, I suppose. So this is very similar to the Miasmal Citadel in the way of the difficulty of the enemies, but it does have one notable difference, that primarily being the element of the enemies that we are expecting to run into. Miasmal Citadel had primarily Dark Elemental enemies, a little bit of other things as well. Some Blue Souls that were Ether Elemental, and the Mithril Golem that was non-elemental. But outside of that, mostly we were preparing for Dark, and Mardek does already have Resist Ether on, so maybe he's all set here. But people like Meridor, you have it as well. Donovan? On this occasion, I think that, yeah, taking off Resist Earth and putting on Resist Ether instead is probably worthwhile. Same thing for you, Charla. Let's go that route. At least based on the few enemies that we fought thus far. And where else do we go next? So we have one of the 3 chests down. There's even a chest right here, directly in front of us. This is a Phoenix down. Okay. Then this looks like it'll be the last one over here to the left. More Dreamfish. I'm pretty sure there are different types of enemies in here. We just, for some reason, keep on running into these guys. And so what with this being another high-level area, this is another place where you could consider grinding up levels, getting people some experience, mastering abilities, all those things. I, of course, prefer the Miasmal Citadel. Part of the reason for that being, I think that the enemies that you encounter in the Miasmal Citadel tend not to do as much in the way of very dangerous statuses, like sleep, although it may seem benign. We found that if our opponents do put everyone in the party to sleep, then it can cause major problems. So for that reason, I think that I do prefer the Miasmal Citadel, and also it's where all the cool people hang out and level up their characters, right? Totally. I don't just say that because I spent hundreds of hours there. Definitely not biased. But anyways, more of the Dreamfish, and they will continue to put the same people to sleep, or at least try to. And now, Donovan. That means you're a little bit more by yourself here. If you hit him the first time around and the second time around, you can take him out. Okay, so let's see what's in this chest over here. And fig juice for some healing. Oh, and we should probably distribute those more evenly across our party members, what with that being our primary healing potion. Mardek, I don't think you should be hogging all of these. Let's just pass them around at least a little bit. Okay, Meridor does at least have one. Something to be said for that. But Mardek, please share. Okay, that's a little bit better. And now that we have seemingly gotten all the chests here, it looks like we have not yet been all the way up here. So let's check that area out. See what else we can find. And it looks like another kind of portal, perhaps? Yes. So it takes us to another room of the Dreamshrine, and oh my goodness, 7 chests here. Okay, looks like there's one in this direction. Let's take this. Another Phoenix down. Again, let's distribute those more evenly across different people. Or anything in the middle here? Perhaps. Let's go to the right first to get this chest. Remedy to remove statuses. Sure. And up here in the middle, take your pick, right or left. Let's go left. And this time, we get different types of enemies, and some enemies that we, again, saw in some people's arena runs. The yellow souls actually were quite common as well in them, but this is the place where you would normally find them in the wild, so to speak, the only place where they appear. And the Solok Spirit is a different iteration on some of the enemies that we saw back in the Sun Temple. And interestingly, these are some enemies that can give us some items that we've talked about previously wanting, but could not quite find a way to collect. The Solok Priest is very strong against light, it will heal to that, very weak to dark, ether, and fig, and somewhat resistant to fire, water, air, and earth. Whereas the Yellow Souls heal to air, so Charla, you're not going to want to target them. And they're also a little bit weak, light and dark, and fire as well. So it looks like these ones are probably Donovan's target. And then Charla, why don't you focus on just the Solok Spirit here? That's not enough in and of itself. Take it out, and ooh, those Yellow Souls are fast. I was not ready for them to go next. So Donovan, is there any reason why we shouldn't have you also target the Solok Spirit? No, you certainly could. Let's use a Blaze against everyone here. And definitely enough to take out the Yellow Souls. Solok Spirit is still hanging on by a little bit, and Meridor, we put on Flamethrower for you as well, meaning that you will also deal fire damage, which would have been effective against the Yellow Souls, but still enough with Solok Spirit. And so those enemies, Yellow Souls, are the only repeating enemies that drop air essences, and then the Solok Spirits are the only ones that drop light essences at this stage. Light essences, we were able to get them back in the Sun Temple. However, once you complete the Sun Temple, enemies no longer spawn there, so you have a long gap in which you cannot pick up any more light essences other than from chests and the occasional shopkeeper. So for that reason, that is one reason why grinding in this area could be helpful, because there are some useful crafting items that you can only pick up here. We'll head over in this direction, and this is just kind of winding around, and not entirely clear where this goes. Oh, another portal? Seemingly? Yes, okay. Sure, we'll head through. 3 chests over here. This area is getting bigger and bigger by the second. Speaking of which, it's opening way up here. Let's go left first? Maybe? Your guess is as good as mine. So I have spent far more time in Miasma Citadel than I have here. As I said, Miasma Citadel was my go-to location, whereas this, I, for the most part, just cleared through once in my previous playthrough and then went on my way. Some more Yellow Souls, and then we have an Onironaut, which is another enemy that we saw once or twice in people's arena runs. And this is very similar to the Witch Doctor that we saw in the Earth Temple, although I know I'm pretty sure took those out before they ever got the chance to take a turn. What they do is they summon more spirits, unless you take them out immediately. That probably means that we want to make sure that we target you first and foremost, and that means that, yes, air would not be a bad idea. And we definitely don't want to use a Thunderbolt on Yellow Souls as we saw previously. So let's do this, and yes, that is enough to take out the Onironaut. Yellow Souls go next. The As long as we hit our reactions, that isn't too bad in the way of the damage. And Donovan, blazes should be enough against these two. Okay, still no items dropping, unfortunately, but eventually we'll get those. And, okay, more options here. Oh my goodness, down and to the left, there's another portal. Let's go up, hoping that there are just chests, so we can say definitively that we are done with a certain area. No, there's another portal up there. Okay, let's take this chest. This has an Ether of Queens, restore 200 MP. That's great. Yeah, it seems like every area leads through a bazillion portals, so this could be a never-ending zone. Or at least so it seems. More enemies that we saw, in the case of the monsters, way back as the first enemies that we fought in the entire game, back when Mardek and Dugan were imagining themselves being the mighty heroes. And then another thing that I forgot to note when we were doing Mardek's arena run, remember how individual arena runs, the enemies that people encounter are largely based on the type of character that they are, both from a story plot standpoint and also from the character's strengths and weaknesses from a gameplay standpoint. And I thought it was very fitting that Mardek's first and last enemies in his personal arena run were monsters. Again, the first enemies that he ever fought in the game. That was a nice little touch, I thought. But the monsters here, they are very weak to light, little resistant to dark, but not much else. And then the Furious Eyes, these were the ones that caused huge problems with us when we were using Slinick, because they made Slinick go in rage so that he was not able to use any of his special abilities. He was trapped using just his default attack when he had fire elemental attacks, which healed these guys. So that means that we probably do want to try to take them out as quickly as possible, because otherwise, if they were to, say, make Donovan go berserk, then he would have fire elemental attacks, though he is using the Obelisk right now, which has non-elemental attacks. As long as we don't hit our Soul Strike offensive reaction, then we should be fine. So, in that case, maybe it's not Code Red here. Let's try hitting everyone. This Thunderbolt here. It may not be enough to take anyone out in one turn, it is not. So let's see if people get Rage Corded here. Yes, Meridor does. So he will be out of control. As will Sharla. Donovan goes next. And in some ways, it is a good thing that you are not one of the ones to get enraged, because that means we can make a point of targeting just the monsters and not those Furious Eyes. Monsters, they're likely going soon here. Meridor actually cannot take a turn when he is enraged, so whether that's a good thing or bad thing, at least he's not going to use the flamethrower and heal the Furious Eyes. That's one thing, but it does, of course, mean he's not able to damage the monster either. Now, Mardek goes next, and the monster goes after him. Do we deliberately try to take out the monster so that it doesn't get the chance to hit us? Or do we try to take out the Furious Eyes so that they don't get the chance to enrage more people? I think we do go for the monster here. And Mardek with humongous damage there, because I'm not terribly concerned about Sharla. She actually just deals more damage when she's enraged, and Mardek getting enraged here is also not a bad idea. At this point, as long as we... and then I hit the offensive reaction, which is exactly the thing that we weren't supposed to do. But that is why I'm not terribly concerned about Mardek getting enraged, because he, again, just deals more damage, and he's not at risk of healing our enemies there. So, now it is just which route you want to go down. I think we go maybe top left here. And we just take it one step at a time. Because it could get very difficult to keep track of where we have and have not gone at this stage. This has 11 chests in here. This area is huge. Okay, just one O'Near or not. So remember, we want to take it out as quickly as possible, and it does go next. Because if we don't, it will likely summon a bunch of spirits to help it out. Fortunately, Sharla has enough damage. Sharla, though, is blowing through her MP relatively quickly here. She's at roughly half MP at the moment. So we probably will want to restore some of that quite soon so that we don't get stuck in a situation in which we need her, but she doesn't have the MP to make a move. Okay, so let's go all the way to the left first. Then we'll double back. Ether of Kings, 1,000 MP restoration. So, Sharla, we're saying you might need some MP. That's probably a little bit overkill, but we could consider using it. Okay, here's a dramatic-looking chest, and yes, that is because it is a chest with some enemies in it. 2 O'Near nuts. So that does mean that if we were to try to attack them both with Thunderbolts, we would reduce the amount of damage we're dealing to each individual target. Might be worth making a point of just taking one out here, because I'm not sure we'll have enough if we split it between the two of them. Let's just take this one out, which does mean we'll likely have more spirits incoming here. No. Going for mass stone, and we do have a lot of earth resistance, so as it turns out, no problems there. Donovan, I think why don't we save some MP and just go with some default attacks here. Meridor's Flamethrower, that always uses 0 MP, and it has enough damage to take you out, so okay. As it turns out, no, not so bad. And we got a Kind Star. That is something entirely new and different. Let's check it out. I have no idea what that'll do. So, it is an accessory. It is traditional for knights to pray to stars for fortune before a quest. It is said that those of pure heart who prayed with the most selfless intentions and the most passion would meet amongst the crowds of peasants who saw them off a mysterious little white-haired girl who, with an innocent smile, would wish him luck and present him with this delicate little amulet. So, it gives SOS Regen, which is a new passive ability. You may recall that we had a helmet that gave us the SOS Berserk ability, so perhaps it is similar to that. The SOS Berserk gave us the Berserk status when a person dropped to low HP, so this likely gives people the regen status when they drop to low HP. And then it's also Light Elemental and gives auto regen, so as long as you're equipping this, you will always have regen, similar to what we have on the Scarab of Health. Of course, Scarab of Health gives other things as well, so the Scarab of Health would just be an objectively better version than this, unless and until you do master SOS Regen. Then, of course, you don't need to have either of these items equipped. You will have regen when you're on low HP, as long as you have that ability equipped. So, that's one chest down here, but there are, theoretically at least, many more. Ooh, though it seems as though perhaps we can only access some of them from this angle here, and we might need to go through additional portals. Go to this chest here, and likely others further to the right. Okay, that's a little comforting that we won't find 5, 6 different rooms, all with 11 chests in them, otherwise we'll be here forever. But not so fast. More of this pairing here. What, if anything, have we learned from this? I think we found that the Furious Eyes, although in theory could be quite dangerous, with this team at least, not so bad. We're probably fine just maximizing our damage here, and we'll see who they choose to make go Berserk. Mardek is not a terrible one not to happen to, and we both targeted him. So now, in fact, Meridor I think is the one that is the least likely to contribute here, because he has the Flamethrower, and that is only capable of targeting everyone in the opposing party, so Meridor would definitely heal the Furious Eyes, and therefore, Donovan, remember we don't want to hit our reaction. Try to hit the Furious Eye with the lower HP. We do have enough damage to take it out, so that's good, because that means that you could potentially justify using Flamethrower on Meridor here in hopes of taking out the monsters, and it would heal the Furious Eye, but that means taking down 2 and healing 1, maybe that is still worthwhile, as long as Meridor does in fact take out the monsters, and I, for some reason, decided not to hit the reaction there. But Mardek, you can certainly take that guy out there, and if I hit the reaction, he probably would have done 9,999 damage as well. Okay. So let's head out, and now, I think what we'll find is, say if we were to go through this portal here, we would enter in that other area from that other angle where we could see those other chests, so maybe we could focus on, instead of going left to right, going top to bottom. Seems like that might be preferable. So let's go through the middle route here and see what we can find. But before we do, purely monsters here. It's like we're back in Mardek and Dugan's imagination. These guys, they are slow. That means that, in all likelihood, we should be able to take them out before they get the chance to take their turn. Not quite enough damage here. Oh, well, it does take one out. Then Meridor, though, you should certainly be able to sweep things up. Okay, Monster Fangs. Once upon a time, we were short on those as well. Oh, we have gone here, actually. My mistake. We want to go further to the right and then up. That should take us to the area that we saw previously, I think. Just make it so that we are entering from a different angle, such that we can see those other chests. that we did not yet get the chance to loot. Was it up here? Well, we'll have to wait to check. More dreamfish. Have we seen a group of all 4 of them? I think we have. It does mean that, yes, we should likely expect a lot of sleep. Fortunately, we did prepare for this by putting on insomnia on several people. I think Charlotte was one of the ones that did not have it, but she was able to avoid that, so that was important there, and Meridor the only one who ended up going to sleep, so all in all, I think we got a little bit lucky in that regard. Donovan, you go next, and I think we saw that as long as Donovan and Charlotte can both go, that should be enough. But Charlotte, yes, we almost certainly will want to restore your MP soon, and Meridor wakes up, and that is important because 1 Dreamfish survived with 1 HP. Let's take it out here, and one thing I also want to note is this Dreamfish, as you see, is level 35. That is slightly higher than the enemies you would see in the Miasmal Citadel. So that is one difference. The Miasmal Citadel maxes out at level 34, so perhaps that could be reason to believe that this area would give slightly better experience, and Donovan perhaps proving the point there. But the experience does vary a bit from one type of enemy to the next, so just because they're higher level does not in and of itself guarantee that you're getting more experience here. For example, you have the Mithril Golems in Miasmal Citadel that give a ton of experience if you can take them out quickly. So yes, this does take us to the other area here, the middle section of this northern room here. Then let's try maybe left, right, and then go the middle. I'm guessing the middle might be another one of those dramatic fights that are guarded by some kind of monsters here. Elixirs are quite strong, fully restoring all of our HP and MP. I don't think we've seen this combination yet. We've only seen the Furious Eyes with monsters, not Dreamfish. That means lots of statuses that they could have inflicted if they hadn't missed. And I think we still go ahead with this strategy here. But Charlotte, I think that is the last time you'll be able to do a full party Thunderbolt. You no longer have enough MP for that, and Mardek going Berserk again, I think that is probably okay here. As long as we can take out the Dreamfish, because they have the ability to evade. Oh, and well, that does mean that we're going to heal those Furious Eyes, but Mardek should be able to take them out. Meridor will not. That is one thing. Meridor, with your Flamethrower, you can only heal them. So perhaps we should have actually used a normal attack with Donovan, not hit our reaction, and use that against the Furious Eyes to deal non-elemental damage, try to take one of those out, because we know that Meridor here can only heal the Furious Eyes, so that's not doing us any good, unless we have some damaging potions, which we very well may, because I think we were loading up on those on Meridor previously, and we may have put those on other people since then. I think we have, so Meridor, sorry, but you kind of just need to pass here. Mardek, yeah, that's why. Him getting enraged, not much of a problem. He can go Berserk anytime he wants, at least in this situation. Then Charla, I think we probably, well, Furious Eye does go next. This might be an opportunity for you to, well, I would say restore some MP, but Ether of Kings is definitely overkill. You don't need 1,000 MP. So let's go with just a physical attack here to save some MP, and you will need to hit your reaction because this is a fire elemental weapon, so we need to trigger your Soul Strike, make it into air. Furious Eye goes next and tries to enrage Donovan. That's probably alright, because, well, we missed first and foremost. And as long as we don't hit our reaction, then Donovan can deal the non-elemental damage, and that's what we do here. That's how we take you out. Okay, so this chest here is another Sapphire Bangle. So we have our fair share of those, but it's a way to, potentially, if you haven't picked up as many as we have, save some money on that, because it can be rather expensive. I'm guessing this one is some kind of guarded chest here. That it is. All monsters. Should be fairly straightforward there, and then I keep on saying that we should restore MP on Charla, and then I proceed to not do it. So we have to go to a Lightning Bolt rather than a Thunderbolt here, because we won't have enough MP for that. So the weaker Lightning spell, hopefully, we can still take these monsters out before they get the chance to take their turn. And only time will tell. For some reason, Donovan has not been going through his MP quite as quickly, even though he's been doing much the same stuff. Maybe using a little bit more of his normal attacks, and also does have the Obelisk equipped, and I believe that gives plus either 50 or maybe even as much as 100 MP. That's likely the biggest difference maker. And we have not taken out any of these monsters here. 2 of them are numbed, though, which means they won't be able to use physical attacks, and I'm pretty sure all they can do is physical attacks, so that means we've basically incapacitated 2 of them. The Meridor should be able to still take them all out here. Yes, Meridor has humongous damage, as long as enemies are not healing to fire. And we get a golden gauntlet. That sounds interesting. Let's check that one out. Okay. So it's a golden glove type thing that increases strength and defense. 5 defense. It's an accessory, of course. Gives the minus 30% damage defensive reaction. That is actually huge, because that is something that previously we've only had people who can use heavy armors able to learn this. All of our robe users, Donovan, Charla, Eloian, Gloria, Meridor, they can learn this ability with this item here. Even Zack, who can only use up to medium armors, and Solar, who is of course one of the most limited in the chestplate spot. So that's quite big, mostly just for this ability here. 5 defense and plus 5 strength, that is a lot of strength, yes, but oftentimes I think we find that we picked up enough very strong accessories that we still default to those, just we want to make a point of mastering this ability here. So that is quite interesting. And then that means that we've gotten everything in this area here, and if we were to go further to the right, we see it appears as though there's a switch, as well as presumably the remaining 6 chests. Let's maybe head in that direction there. And purely Furious Eyes. Not sure we've seen this setup this time, and well, Perla has 8 MP now. So, okay. We'll use a normal attack here, and fortunately you did get numbed, so that does, well, make it so you can't use physical attacks. I'm not sure you're ever going to do that anyway. So that's fine. You enrage them, and honestly, just don't hit the reaction. That's fine with Donovan. Meridor can't do anything. Mardek goes next. We can't hit the reaction with you. Mardek will one-shot everyone. So there's that. And the only person who's not berserked right now is Charla, and she does not have the MP to use any of her special abilities, so you're also going to be using normal attacks here. That Furious Eye is almost down. Fortunately, it appears as though that is one of the few things that they can do, is use that ability. Don't hit the reaction. There we go. Meridor won't do anything, then Mardek hit the reaction here. So at least once we are enraged, it doesn't get much worse than that. As long as we can deal damage and don't get trapped, like we saw with Slinik back in his arena run. Okay, and now we were to, say, try going down through here, and then further to the right. Oh, except that is in an entirely different area, or at least seems as though we'll have to go down here, then through a different portal to enter through this area, and then that will presumably have the other 2 chests in this spot here, and then go up in order to make it through there. So yes, this is a rather maze-like area, it would seem. Let's try heading back down. And through here. And now we need something that takes us further to the right. Yeah, it would appear as though it is likely this one here. Let's loop around. And it is going to be very difficult to keep track of which chests we have and have not picked up, which areas we have and have not visited. So I think, yes, sticking with the whole, go for the top section first, and then we'll go to the bottom section next. One day I'll remember to restore her MP. As for right now, though, do we prioritize taking out the Furious Eyes? Remember that Meridor will only be able to delete the monsters, but will heal the Furious Eyes. I think between Charla and Donovan, if we can get rid of one Furious Eye with their normal attacks, then that would be helpful. So we are limiting the amount of people that Meridor is healing. Let's see. Were you berserking next? Well, you're just hitting Mardek over and over. It means that Donovan, we can choose who you target here, and we will want to try to target you. But have enough damage on it? It will, okay. So one Furious Eye down. It means that Meridor, I think we can certainly justify this. And it is enough to take out both monsters in one hit, so that's very useful. And Mardek, even though I missed the reaction there, still able to take out the Furious Eye. More monster teeth, and wow, you can drop Ether of Queens as well. That is quite potent. And now let's say use one of those Ether of Queens on Charla. Brings her up to basically full MP here. That means that now we will want to head further to the right and loop around this way. And we should find there's another portal in this direction. I think it is roughly symmetrical in that way. Okay, Pure Furious Eyes. Now Charlotte can use Thunderbolts. And stunning people, that would be helpful. If it truly means that they don't take the turn, well, I think that was the one that got stunned, and it still certainly had the chance to attack us. And this time you have berserked everyone except for Donovan. So Donovan, who would you like to target? I'm not sure it makes much of a difference. I mean, maybe we try to keep the one that's paralyzed alive if we have to keep one up here because it's the least likely to actually take its turn. Don't hit your reaction. Not enough damage to take you out, though, unfortunately. Meridor can't do anything when he's berserked, and we wouldn't want him to either. I did want to hit that reaction there. That was unfortunate. And we did find that, yes, the one that was paralyzed did not get the chance to take turn, so that was helpful. Then, Donovan, you could certainly take this one out here. Why don't we target that? And then that means that Mardek, on your turn, you will annihilate this one here. There we go. That's more like it. Okay. So now we'll head up through here. And I'm expecting for us to find those 2 remaining chests. This being one of them. This is rather dramatically placed. I'm guessing this is probably some kind of fight. No, it's actually just a sapphire. We've picked up a few of these along the way, so still useful. But maybe not as much so as some of those unique items that we picked up. And this is seemingly a bit bigger than the other sections that we saw. And more dreamfish, so look out for going to sleep here. Meridor gets put to sleep, then seems to immediately wake up. Well, go back to sleep, Meridor. Carla, you can Thunderbolts again. Thank goodness. We'll want it here. And then Donovan, if you could Blaze to follow up on that. And yes, that does take them all out, fortunately. Okay. And now, because it seems as though that we have more options here, let's go for the chest first, over in this direction, and then we'll see what else we have down those other pathways. This one here, this one's a fight. More dreamfish. Oh, I missed that reaction. Fortunately, still 0 damage. And Charlotte goes to sleep. We're definitely using her to deal some damage. She does still regen even when she's asleep, but does not get a chance to take her turn. We could Blaze with Donovan here, but I think that Meridor is going next. He's not asleep. He does not use any NP when he attacks. Maybe we try saving some NP on Donovan here. And yes, we can deal some damage. We do land a hit. I'm thinking that Meridor's Flamethrower may have enough damage to take everyone out here. That it does, yes. Meridor is actually the strongest spellcaster of everyone we have in the party at the moment. That is, assuming that we can deal damage with fire and not heal people with fire. We got an obelisk. So this is, of course, the spear that Donovan is using right now, which is the best spear in the game. So we can get another one, so why not put it on Charlotte as well as a golden conch, which is another crafting material that we said at one point was very limited, and we were wondering, is there a finite amount of them, or can you get more? Well, we have picked up another one here. I believe those dreamfish can drop them. I think we did perhaps see this in some arena runs as well. So if you need more of them, this is the only place we can farm them up. Okay, and so some great rewards out of that chest then. Let's make a point. We'll throw in the obelisk on instead of the fire fang here. It does mean boosting her attack from 36 to 40, and then plus 50 MP, so that should help out as well. Absolutely an upgrade there. So that's fantastic. And then, where to next? Yes, we anticipated that there might be a portal up into the left here. Don't know what to expect in either of these corners here, so let's try going here first, and then we'll take it from there. Because we know there are theoretically more chests in this direction. Okay, so Lock Spirits, it's been a long time since we saw those. As a reminder, they are weak to dark, heal to light, everything else, they're somewhat resistant to it. This is interesting, though, because remember that Mardek, of course, can deal only light damage with his normal attacks. He would need to use an ability to change the element. That is significant because if the Furious Eyes were to enrage Mardek, and Mardek were to attack the Solok Spirit, Mardek would be incapable of dealing damage, so as long as other people are capable of taking out the Solok Spirit, that should be fine, but that probably is reason. Prioritize the Solok Spirit here. because it's not a full counter, a full trap, in the way that we saw the Furious Eyes trap Slinic. But there it is, Mardek getting berserked. So we definitely want to take out the Solok Spirit here. Let's blaze it. Take you out. Now, Mardek, doesn't matter who you attack here. Peridor can't do anything when berserked, but Mardek can demolish Furious Eye. And Charla, why don't you try using a default attack with your newly upgraded weapon? Of course, well, I missed the reaction. Maybe you have used this weapon before, just previously we had to take turns between you and Donovan don't hit the reaction. There we go. Okay, more Other of Queens, and let's give this one to Charla. Then we'll pop through what we're expecting to find here. And should find at least one chest, if not more, and that switch over here. Let's go here first. Take this chest. We know this is here. And this gives us some healthy juice, which gives us the regen status. We, of course, have one or two items that can give us that automatically, but still, those of us who do not have that equipped could still be useful. Then the switch is over here. Let's flip this. We're actually turning it off, interestingly. Nothing else in that direction, so let's try further to the right. Monsters plus Furious Eyes. I think this combination is not as dangerous because even if Mardek becomes enraged, still not a problem attacking those monsters there. So let us target everyone. Could potentially focus on taking out the Furious Eyes specifically. We don't want them to, enrage Meridor, because then he can't do anything when he's berserked. Donovan, depends who you attack. If it's Furious Eye, we need to miss the reaction, so there we go. Meridor is stuck. And then Mardek, that means you can take out one of the monsters, but one of them will get the chance to take a turn here. So why don't you go for the one that has the most HP? This is the first time we've seen one of these monsters attack us. Fortunately, it missed, so now I'm thinking this might be our opportunity to take out the Furious Eye. So let's use Thunderbolt on this specifically, and we're hoping it's enough. It is. Donovan, well, we could have hit that reaction, but either way, it's enough damage to take out the monster. Donovan is actually somewhat low on HP here. We potentially might want to do some healing real quick. And there is Charla mastering the magic plus stun ability there, and we've seen it happen on a few occasions, her pulling off that stun. So Mardek, why don't you drop a few quick heals on Donovan? Actually, one will do the trick. And then we'll loop around further to the right and see if we find those other chests. Seems like a very small area for a lot of chests, but perhaps. Let's loop it way around here. Here's one with a soul stone, which I believe we saw was the item that we also found in the Miasmal Citadel. One that gave +5 spirit, which is a lot, but mostly the astral form ability for Solar. Of course, Solar has now mastered this, so not as significant of a pickup anymore. But as for how we get over to that other area there, looks like there's another portal that we need to go through even further to the right, which has all those chests. So that means we'll have to check that out soon, but I think this is probably a good place for us to wrap up here because, as I said, this area is ginormous. So next time around, we'll see what other new, unique, and powerful items can we pick up in the Dream Shrine. Catch you next time to find out.